Hey guys, I'm Brad Wilson with Wild Heart Wilderness. Today what I want to do is talk about the Haversack. I plan on making a playlist in the future revolving around gear and gear reviews for bushcraft. And I feel that out of all the gear that we can carry, the Haversack is one of the best things to consider carrying for bushcraft. So that's why I wanted to talk about it today. It's a very traditional piece of gear. It was most popular in the 18th and 19th centuries, and it's most iconic with the long hunters and the mountain men of those time periods. It was even standard issue for soldiers in the Revolutionary War up to the Civil War, and even in the last century, the turn of the last century, it was carried a lot by soldiers in World War I. It's kind of died out since then, but I want to give you a look at the Haversack because even though many people don't really carry it anymore, I believe that it's still a very solid bulletproof piece of gear that every woodsman should look at and consider carrying. Just because it's traditional and something of the past doesn't mean that it's inferior to modern gear. In fact, the Haversack really doesn't have anything that is a modern equivalent, but really the day pack that we carry today is really more of a modern equivalent to a rucksack. But the Haversack is kind of its own thing. It doesn't have any modern equivalent because the design of it is so effective, so simple and effective that there's really nothing to improve upon. So Haversacks generally are made of cloth or leather, and as far as cloth goes, you can find some that are already treated with a solution to make it water resistant, like oilcloth or wax canvas. As far as the prices are concerned, you can get Haversacks very cheap from reenactment sites or stores, but oftentimes those are going to be made out of a natural material that hasn't been treated. So in order for that to be waterproof, you're going to have to turn that into a project, and that's going to cost some money. And then also, if you're not very proficient in that skill, you may want to spend a little extra money and get something that's already professionally treated to be water resistant. If you are looking at the other end of things, the other extreme, as far as prices go, you can find some that are made of really good quality leather, which are going to be very nice, but those are going to be fairly expensive. Leather really isn't going to be any more superior in my mind than something that's made of oilcloth like this one, or a wax canvas. Generally, they're as far as size, they come in anywhere from 11 by 12 to 24 squared, and all other sizes in between. And again, that's just a matter of preference. The one that I have here, I've had for about 2 or 3 years. I got it from Self-Reliance Outfitters, and at the time it was about $30 or $35, and I don't believe the price has changed since. But it's made of oilcloth, it's water resistant, it's about 11 by 14, and in my mind it's the perfect size for its intended purpose. The thing about Haversacks is that they're not designed to be a main carry bag. If I'm going out on a trip for more than a day or 2 days, I'm going to be carrying some kind of larger pack on my back. But even then, I'm always going to have my Haversack. And especially if I'm going to be out in the woods just for a few hours or a day spent in the woods, my Haversack's always with me. Dan Wowak of Coal Cracker Bushcraft, you may recognize him. He was one of the contestants on the last season of Alone, and he also works at the Pathfinder School with Dave Canterbury. And on his website, coalcrackerbushcraft.com, he talks about the Haversack, and he said something that I really agree with and relate to. He said when he's out in the woods, pretty much all the time, 9 times out of 10, if he has nothing else, or the thing that's always consistent with what he carries in the woods is his knife and his Haversack. And I feel the same way. I always have my Haversack. The thing about a Haversack is that it's meant to be a bag that you carry for essential items. You carry just a few essential items with you, and then also it's used for as we're traveling somewhere, as we're just going out for a scout or whatever, looking for resources or studying the plants and trees, or even if we're hunting. As we go through the woods, it's wise of us to be wise woodsmen, the best that we can be in the woods. we need to always be aware of our surroundings and looking for resources. So just the other day I was out here scouting around looking for some medicinal plants, and I happened across a poplar branch, and I knew that that was good for tinder. And so I always want to collect things like that. So the other day I collected some tulip poplar bark, stuffed it down in my haversack, put it in there, and went down the trail, you know, that quick. I didn't have to pull off a pack off my back and unzip pockets and all that. It's just right here. And that's the thing about a haversack that I really like, is the convenience. You know, if we really need to get to something quick, all you gotta do is reach in and pull it out. And if you're really strategic about it before you go out, you can sort of plan what you think you might need first, or most of all, and put that more towards the top. And that makes it even quicker getting to the things you need. So there's no pockets or zippers or anything you got to deal with like you would on a modern pack. The other thing I really like about that, since there's no zippers, oftentimes zippers are pretty loud. If you're out hunting, it can make a lot of noise even if you're trying to be quiet. Whereas this pack, you know, it's not much sound there. You get used to it. You can learn how to open up your haversack and reach in and hardly make a sound. The other thing about it being with its design being just one single strap and worn to one side of the body, again with hunting, you know, oftentimes I like to try to move after a while and try to see if I can find some tracks and stalk whatever game I'm hunting. And if I have a pack on my back, a lot of times that will get hung up in briar. But with this pack, it's a lot easier to maneuver in and out of things like that, and it's a lot quieter. So there's really not much else to say about the haversack. It's very simple, but it's bulletproof. This pack, being made of oilcloth, is very durable. Unless you try to puncture a hole in this thing, it ain't gonna happen. And the same is true with the strap on here, especially if you get one that's made from like Tent Smiths, which this one is made. I bought it from Self-Reliance Outfitters, but they get it from a company called Tent Smiths, or not Tent Smiths, excuse me, Canteen Shop. They do really well, a good job at stitching this strap into the actual main part of this, and it's not going to rip out or tear on you unless you try to tear it off. So there's nothing on this bag that's really going to malfunction. The only thing that could possibly malfunction with you is over time the stitching could probably come out just a little bit, but that's going to be a very long time. You're going to have to, you know, abuse this thing on purpose for that to happen. So yeah, I think that the haversack, for all of these reasons, it's just as good as a modern day pack, and in some instances it is better. You know, again with the hunting and things like that, it's quieter. So I'm not going to repeat myself on all that and make this video any longer. So just give that some thought. If you're getting into bushcraft, you're trying to figure out what kind of pack you want, maybe you want to be a little more traditional, I would say by far the haversack is the way to go. So anyway, I thank you guys for watching today. The rain's starting to pick up a little bit more here, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this video off. But I thank you for watching. I'm Brad Wilson with Wild at Heart Wilderness. Until the next one, get out in the woods and be wild. Thanks, guys.